Ask any honest hunter and they will tell you that the hunt is not defined by the size of the animal at the end of the story. Rather, the hunt is defined by the size of the story before the animal. We're going to bring you lots of animals with Bloodline adventures, and they're not all going to be big. Every once in a while we might get lucky with a trip to the taxidermist, but by and large these animals are not going to break any records, but every one of them will have a good story to tell. And one of my favorite stories of all time was the very first black bear that I shot way back in June of 1990. And it was with my dad, and it was the last night of the hunt, and we hadn't seen anything all evening. And the plan was to leave the stand about 9:30 p.m. because we had a long drive home that night. So at 9:30, I looked across the bait to where Dad was sitting in his tree stand. This was before the days where we had the big double deluxe stands that we use nowadays. So I looked across and Dad gave me the 5 more minutes signal. So we waited till 9:35, didn't see anything. I tied my 30-30 and my bow onto the rope, lowered it down, climbed out of the tree stand. My feet had no sooner hit the ground than I heard Dad holler at me, and I turned around to see Dad, and he's pointing behind me, and I looked over my shoulder, and sure enough, there was this bear standing there. So I hesitated for a moment and quickly got my 30-30 untied from the rope, rested against the tree, pulled the trigger, and I'll never forget what Dad said. He said, "Son, looks like you got yourself a bear." And it was so special. It wasn't a monster bear by any stretch, but in many ways it was the bear of a lifetime, because the events of that evening ensured that wherever life took me between June and April, every May you would find me for the next 30 plus years back in spring bear camp. So when you've hunted for 30 years, the law of averages will say that every once in a while you will get a rare opportunity at a truly magnificent animal. Such was the case for Bryce. Spring 2021, he shoots the bear of a lifetime, not only because of how the story unfolded, but because of the size of the prints in the mud. Every year it has been a tradition to stop by the waterhole and check for tracks. Our old bait was down that trail way over there. The new bait is now moved over here. So Tyler and I almost left back to the truck without stopping to check for tracks. I'm sure glad we decided to check this out. Look at the size of this guy's toes. That's my thumb. That is massive. Huge track.
Wow.
Figure his pad is about 5 inches across. We've seen a lot of bear feet.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big bear foot.
That's a big bear foot. Bigfoot, one could say.
2021. Mission Impossible.
Year of the Bigfoot.
Now, it would be really cool if I could go all Tom Cruise on you and lay down the Mission Impossible soundtrack, but YouTube has some copyright issues with that, so we're not able to do that. But from the day that we saw those tracks, we hunted very hard in that area for the rest of the season, and we never laid eyes on Bigfoot in person until the very end of the very last night. We did see a picture on a camera from a bait about 2 miles away that we think was Bigfoot, but he was essentially a ghost in the woods that we never even knew existed except for those footprints by the waterhole.
We're gonna go back in here into South Rita to see if we can get a glimpse of what monstrosity is in there.
So Bryce and I made it to the stand. We had a great evening. There were bear coming and going all evening long, including one that we called Blackface, which will be a really nice bear in a few years. And the sun was going down and it was starting to get darker in the forest. And at one point I reached up and turned off the GoPro. And it was at that moment that this brown bear walked into the stand. And we watched that bear for about 10 minutes. And as nice as that bear was, we knew that it wasn't Bigfoot. No, Bigfoot would wait another 2 or 3 minutes and then make his entrance into the bait after we'd lost all hope of actually being able to film it. And Bryce knew that this was an opportunity that doesn't present itself very often, and I know I'm going to disappoint the hunters watching this who would love to see that shot on camera. And if you're a non-hunter, you're probably okay with it because that's not your favorite part of the story anyway.
Is that your black?
I don't have a picture of my black. It's all up here.
We didn't get Bryce's on camera, it was too dark, but this is approximate location where he was standing, and the shot came from over there. Yeah.
There's blood here. Yeah, a lot of blood.
He's leaking good.
He's down in the swamp back here. You hear me screaming? That's my thought. I thought. I didn't think to go, hey, Levi and Bradford found him.
I introduce you to Bigfoot? Bigfoot? I think we got him. Look at this. Look at that bit. Huge. That's probably the one by the water hole. Bigger his pad is about 5 inches across.
Bear Camp 2021. Undoubtedly the best season of my life hunting these animals. I've been chasing these along with my brother and our relatives and our friends and family for the last 25, almost 30 years, tying back to the roots of my old man and my uncle. And it is a bear of a lifetime. I can't imagine ever beating it. Thanks a lot to everybody that helped me bring them in, take them outfitters, my buddy Clay. It's just unbelievable. Thank you so much to everybody. Bear of a lifetime.